Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome back to another episode of our Suzerain Let's Play. And as we continue with episode 5 here, I'm actually super curious to when chapter 1 actually ends, because according to the journal, we're still on turn 1, which is actually pretty amazing in terms of the pacing of the game. It's pretty immersive. So we had our meetings last time, and we have unrest throughout the country. Our main event here is to address sort of the nation in terms of instability and end our day. There is a report saying that the embassy from United Contana is helping out the protesters. Remember that this sort of represent the Soviet Union of sorts, and they promote communism, and they're allowing the Red Youth members to escape inside. And this obviously has to deal with foreign influence in our country. And back in the capital, we also have a report that Arcasia, which kind of represents America here, has developed their ICBM, which will be just a long-range missile. Could be nuclear to increase their power. And we have to make a decision here. The political situation around the country has escalated. Chief Strategist Lucian has prepared several action plans that we can execute. What will we do to address the intensifying political climate? Call for restraint on national television, visit affected town in person, label all protesters as traitors, or expand police by deploying all recruits in training, or reject these plans. Ooh. We could do a combination of these. I wish we could. But, like the basic is call for restraint, even though I think that probably has the least direct impact on the situation. It just seems like the right thing to do as the leader. And we can come back to this real quick. News first, let's see what the reaction is. Wait, already seen this one. Oh, interesting. I mean, we've already seen all these. This is different. Underhall construction once again. Underhall Construction, real estate giant owned by the mayor of Conrad. Oh. They've been selling their stakes to Lothenberg Group. Okay. Was once picked again as the #1 construction company of the year by the reputable statistics Sordland. So this has to do with us picking a construction company, I guess, eventually. But interestingly here, the Economist, if I remember correctly, is owned by the Lothenberg Group. So them rating them, I guess it's not rated by them, but being advertised by them. 11th time selected in top spot. Now it's a great time to invest. Ooh, this is going to be another private wealth investment opportunity, and also is going to sway our decision on who gets to construct what. This is the big news at the end of last episode. Rumberg closed the consulate. We're the only one with diplomatic ties with them, or one of the few. Friday or Saturday. 120 years old. Okay. Alright. Back to our reaction. We're not doing this. Even though both sides are not clean in this. But we want to calm things down. We could visit. This will probably be the most effective in terms of results. Let's keep it simple. Let's call for restraint on national TV. And we can end our day. Oh, there's a news too. Hold on. There's a reaction to that. President Rayne calls for restraint. Characterizing the situation's first step into civil war. I mean, these are the arguments of two minor factions in the country, right? The nationalists and the communists don't really rally much of a percentage here. Anyways, back to our meeting. The Maroon Palace was finally getting somewhat quiet when I returned to my office at the top. I eagerly approached my chair and sprawled out on it. It's been an exhausting day, just like every day since I took office. We're trying to quit. We can prepare to go home. I forced myself out of the chair to gather my jacket and briefcase. I really needed to make some time for my family. I quickly glanced out the window before leaving. Sergei and the guards were outside by the main gate as usual. I heard a couple of knocks on the door. My secretary, Livia, entered. Mr. President, Mr. Tusk is here to see you. Walter Tusk, the current spokesman of the Lothenburg Group, owns the Economist Group. You had a meeting with the Lothenburg spokesman. I'm so sorry for not giving you proper notice. Let's be nice about it, even though this secretary is definitely at fault here. Alright, swaggered into the room. I had met Sordland's most prominent businessman once or twice, but never alone. He had large brows, blindingly shiny shoes, and the air of someone who was used to getting his way. Anything to drink, Mr. Tusk? Water? Whiskey? Cognac, preferably from where you were born, sweetheart. Is she like a Anglo from a neighboring? Maybe not, I don't know. Doesn't say in her directory here. I'll check the supply room. Livia backed out of the office, shooting me an I can't say this right now. A look as she did so. Walter hung up his hat, which I could see was lined with mink. He fixed me with a long, hard stare and then broke into a toothy grin. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to congratulate you. We both sat down. My business partners and I wish you a successful term as the leader of our nation. Thank you, Mr. Tusk. I had no chance to say this at the ball with all the panic, but we are very much looking forward to working with you. Likewise, I would like to build a profitable relationship between us. That being said, there are some concerns of mine and the people I represent, which I would like to take this opportunity to clear up. The people you represent? You know that I represent the Lothenburg Group, Mr. President. But of course, these concerns are not limited to them. The ruined state of the economy in Sordland has influenced everyone. The recession hit all of us hard. Walter pulled out a box of cigars from his jacket. I had these brought from Lesbia, the best cigar in the whole continent. Would you like to try one? You go ahead. I don't want to smoke. Walter grabbed himself a cigar and lit it. He looked out towards the city scenery as he puffed away. You are having a good start to the term for sure, besides the recent troubles. Glad that you have decided to promote the free market, which is the only thing that can get us out of this mess. Let's congratulate our team. We have talented economists like Mr. Hole in the cabinet, so you made the right choice. This is Simon here. There are many other avenues where we could work together, he grinned. The high-speed rail investment was a great decision. The business logistic will improve and boost economy once finished. Yeah, the intention is to boost the economy. The right intentions for sure. We can be close allies. The group can help you get Sordland out of the recession, which will be the key problem to solve in your term and could even determine your re-election. Let's start with a gesture of goodwill. Soon the investment project contract will be awarded to one of the three main contenders. He put a check out of his pocket and slid it towards me on the table. My personal bank details were listed on it with a deposit of 500,000 Sordland ready to be transferred. This was 6 months of a president's salary. Oh, we make $1 million a year. Okay. If the contract is somehow awarded to Underhall Construction, they will not only work hard and deliver, but also do it on time. What do you think, Mr. Rayne? Wouldn't that be good? He put the index finger on the check. There was a noise by the door. Livia was standing there, holding a tray with a bottle and 2 glasses. I'm so sorry, Mr. Tusk, but all I could find was a 1942 Suzerain. I hope that's acceptable. She quickly put the tray on my desk and walked out. Tusk eyed her as she left. Remind me to visit your office more often. Now, where were we? Do we have a deal? Oh, wow. Huh. We are finally in turn 2, by the way. But I'm not so sure about this decision here. I don't hate, from what we know, I don't hate Underhall Construction. Sure, some human rights or workers' rights are being damaged, but they delivered. Worker right is their situation, not really our situation to deal with. This bribe, though. On principle, not a fan of just agreeing to him. But I'm also not a fan of just saying no. Blackmail him a little bit? Let's just say no for now. Walter sighed and pulled the check away, putting it in his pocket. Thank you for your visit nonetheless. It was good to share opinions, and we'll meet again in the future for sure. Oh, I almost forgot. Please say hello to Mr. Coronetti for me. He smiled. Have a good evening, President. Walter stood up, grabbed his jacket, and made his way towards the door. He closed the door behind him. I gathered my things and prepared to finally head home. As I walked out, I noticed Olivia still there, covering up her typewriter for the evening. If I may be so bold, Mr. President, did you accept his offer? Of course I didn't. How could you even ask me that? The other girls have told me about all kinds of dealings that went on during Alfonso's administration. I wasn't sure if you were that kind of president. I most certainly am not. She and I took a moment to look out over the lights of the city before heading to the elevators. Ooh, we got many main events here. We're still in chapter 1 though, although we are clearly on turn 2. Kibner suggests expanding executive powers. The National Frontier are helping us out with our desire to strengthening presidential powers. But he's not exactly popular. I don't know if I want to fan the flame of nationalism. Should have absolute immunity before the courts. Chair of the cabinet. Huh, their proposal is going to push us to an early election. I'm not going to let them have their way. Trust in the Assembly and Supreme Court is all-time low. Okay. Workers' Party Obudia rallying. This could be a dangerous group. He's the leader of the Independent. They had 10 votes, but represents a much higher percentage of the population. They just can't break the 10% threshold. A bloody protest. Let's hope we don't get to that. 20 British citizens were attacked by a group of people suspected to be members of the Young Suds. This is a difficult situation to balance. No minor news, so let's look at what the major options are. Local police are working with nationalists. Right. Nationalism creeping into the police office. Finalization of the railroad contract, picking a company. Meeting with Marcel, who represents sort of the business liaison with the group for us, hopefully. And act to ease the hardship felt in the country. Let's start here. We arrive in Enrica by train. After being greeted by cheerful citizens and the local government officials, we head to City Hall. Here, a significant meeting about the L1 project would take place. Several construction companies sent their representative to City Hall. Even though... Elias group couldn't make the meeting. Simon and Gus is here. I believe Gus has ties to the city. Yes, major investments and own a few small business. Also, minority ownership of the football club in his hometown. Good to know. Came with the train yesterday and it was a little uncomfortable. Besides starting our economic recovery, the train journey here will be much more pleasant, Mr. President. That is a given now. This project will improve so many things, ranging from logistics to growth. You made the right choice for sure. We trust your plan, Simon. I'm glad to hear that. We should be able to slow down the recession if we finish this project successfully. I'm sure we will. According to your document, many citizens will be employed because of the business expansions. What would it take to stop this recession? This is just the beginning. We need to follow this project up with several other economic investment projects, which is dependent on our government budget, right? Yes. And I have the overview of the companies here. See, this is what we're interested in. What are the other two companies? I could still very much pick Underhall. The Swedish State Corporation, founded in 1891, the SSC is the main government corporation that is tasked with running public construction contract in Sordland. It's also part of the Big Four largest companies in Sordland, most usually called the SSC. It's most honorary company in the country with a long and solid track record of completing critical projects. In recent years, the efficiency of the corporation seemed to drop due to the recession and somehow corrupt management structure. It's still considered safest bet for big projects in the minds of many government officials. Underhall Construction, owned by the mayor of Conrad, Kriskar. Iconic buildings, all major cities. Sold half his share to Walter, which is why he's trying to bribe us to pick it. Well, this breach certain competition clauses is largely ignored. Gigantic real estate, very influential construction project in the private sector. Some of the recent work includes the central station, which they complete on time but violated workers' rights in the process. And the last one is Taurus Holdings. Founded by Gerard Frost, is new and entrepreneurial private company that used cutting-edge construction technology from Arcadia to reduce construction costs and price. They recently began taking bigger and riskier contracts in several industries, including the construction industry. Oh, so they don't main constructing, they're just a holding firm. Also deals with shipyard building, bridge works, training aircraft hangars, and the company is known for its great employee perks, high union membership. It's considered very much more open and competitive compared to the usual Swedish corporations. They're known for their port expansion project in Benfai, which is completed with half the budget. Benfai is our most eastern town. Okay. I reviewed the listed corporations. I'll throw down some notes and ideas. Which corporation should we talk about? Let's start with the first one, SSC. Respected. Right. I kind of already read sort of that. They're the reason we're outdated. Good point, Gus. Alright, picking them would mean we're going back to state-dominated industries because they're a state-owned firm. Look at the abysmal regional railway system. They do have a wealth of knowledge and infrastructure. I don't share a great admiration for the SSC, but their track record clearly show completed contract with thousands of employees who have experience. According to the preliminary calculation of the SSC, they would need more resources to finish this project of this size. Ooh. I'm on the fence. Let's talk about Underhall. The real estate and construction giants founded in 1925. They expanded during the economic boom of the 30s. Picking this corporation will fit our market economic policies. Right, we know the CEO, he sold half of the share, but still very eager to get on the L1. They took contract with the central station, excelled at it. Right, Simon, any thoughts? I think they've been doing relatively well in the private sector where they dominated the construction industry with successful projects. Nonetheless, they treat their worker below our working standards during the Halsud Central Station contract, which is troubling. Although I don't really believe this completely. Yes, but some of the workers were Angolian and Wesek, which not under Swedish labor laws. They use illegal immigrants, huh? Having worked on the renovation project, I can say that the work conditions were not bad. Extra efforts were needed to finish it on time, which they did. That is all. Underhall has specifically mentioned their solid track record and highlighted that the cost of the project would be more than expected for a project of this scale, but finished on time. Okay, let's see the other. Let's still not be sure. Taurus. Taurus was founded in 1946, owned by entrepreneur Gerard Foss. It's a new holding company with subsidiary using cutting-edge technology from Arcasia to cut down cost and price. Good union worker. They're a very interesting corporation, especially because of their innovative construction method, but aren't suitable for a large project like these. Why should we pick Taurus? It would fit our election premise of switching to a free market economy. Awarding contract to privately owned corporation would be a step in the right direction. Taurus has completed fewer projects than other companies, however they're slightly faster and cheaper. It won several awards internationally for being one of the fastest growing advanced companies. Can they deliver? Exactly. Why take such a risk now when we need to play it safer with companies like Underhall? They always deliver for government on time. The project manager from Taurus Holding mentioned that they would be able to finish the project with allocated funding. They are the only company who found the budget sufficient, making them a cheaper alternative. Ah, right, we already spent the budget. The other two requires another budget. I see. We're going to go with Taurus. It's a gamble. It's a budget gamble, right? You're getting value for your money, basically, or you get what you pay for, essentially. And from a publicist perspective, it'll be a refreshing new take on the economy. All right, we're going to go with Taurus Holdings. Good that we are staying consistent to our economic strategy. Simon signed a certain section of the dossier and fixed his glasses. Very well, Mr. President. The contract will be awarded to Taurus Holdings. I wish the outcome of the meeting was different, but at the end of the day, the success of the project is what matters. The company will be notified today and the construction work will begin immediately after. Good luck to us. My expectation for a grand opening ceremony are late next year. I'll be returning to my duties. See you soon, Mr. President. Thank you. This concludes the meeting. And we spend the rest of the day in Enrica. It's very refreshing to attend cultural dances and hear the traditional Swedish music of the region. Now back to our other businesses, as we are apparently in turn 2. Rejected a bribe. And didn't give it to their company. Ah, progress on the railroad. Good to know. Let's have a talk with Marcel first. Right, this is their luxury, resort area. After a few hours driving along the river Esco, we took a turn entering Conrad. Ah, so this is the city. Anyways, darkness started setting in as we drove up a hill. Let's ask where we are. We're near the HOS Country Club, Mr. President. We'll be there shortly. We arrived and the big iron gates of the country club opened. It was huge and outright extravagant. The main building, inspired by lesbian architect, was lit from all sides. It was rather chilly. Okay, so we have Lucian and Peter with us. I hope the journey was comfortable. It wasn't bad. Looking forward to this meeting. I'm sure it'll be worth our time. He is a Coronati after all. Let's get personal. Let's. After opening the marble engraved wooden door, we were greeted by 2 tall women. The receptionist led us to the meeting room upstairs. Marcel was standing by the window, looking outside the beautiful complex. He turned around to have a quick look at us both. He was a really handsome man with a well-groomed hair. He walked towards me with his hand reached out for a handshake. Reach out for the handshake. He had a firm grip. It is such a pleasure to meet you in person, Mr. Coronati. I appreciate your effort to reach out for a mutually beneficial relation or friendship. Thanks for hosting us. I admired your father very much. May he rest in peace. Welcome. Your kind words have touched me, Vice President. He was indeed a great man. May he rest in peace. He was a true entrepreneur. He'll been very happy to hear this from you, Mr. President. It's time to look forward. Let's talk about our bright future. Yes, there is much to discuss. Believe it or not, I have been a secret admirer of your political success. I found your quick rise to power was shockingly well executed. The admiration goes both ways. Marcel gently pointed at the seats. We sat down around a gigantic table. Before speaking, he knocked on wood. The past month have been tumultuous, to say the least. I am glad you and your family were unharmed at the shooting. The whole incident must have been a shock for the kids. They aren't used to what we lived through back in the late 20s. I still remember when my father took us out of the country when it became too dangerous in Conrad. They were startled, but the important thing is they're safe and sound. Of course, that is all that matters. No family should suffer from tragedy ever again. We had enough of that. Well, I am known to be a straightforward person, so let me get to the point without wasting your valuable time. It was during the Alfonso campaign when I was struck by what you have done within the party. Marcel started to look at one of the paintings on the wall. Let's look at the painting too. The famous piece depicted a giant sleeping beneath a village. The trees, rivers, and hills were all part of the giant's body. Its eyes were 2 caves looking up at the people. It showed daylight at the far left and nighttime at the far right. The giant seemed to be watching the village. It was totally unbeknownst to the villagers. Marcel pointed his finger at me. You said, "We will transform this nation, Mr. Rayne. My conglomerate has a way of doing things, and I don't want them to change. So I want to cooperate with you." Please explain farther. You might have the people's support now, Mr. President, but what happens when you make mistakes? Everybody makes mistakes. What's that supposed to mean? Let's hear his point, Vice President. Being a president in this country means having many enemies. Enemies that will resort to anything to bring you down. Let's say these enemies caused the scandal or leaked sensitive information from the administration. These would be destructive when they were released, if they were released. Continue. Assume that the articles would actually protect your integrity no matter what. Try to imagine how up to 5 million people I reach will not lose faith in you. And what do you want in return? I want two things, Mr. President. Number one is a guarantee from you that the Rayne administration won't meddle in HOS affair no matter what happens. Number two is a simple gentleman's favor for the future. Let me prove my services to you first, and I'm sure you won't disapprove when the time comes. Empty. It's like a blank check for the number two option here. The first one I could swallow because it's a private corporation. It would not really be our business to meddle in it to begin with. This is an interesting proposal. Not just interesting, but necessary. You surely know that this is a win-win situation. The media will be on your side, strengthening your position. It will also protect my business operation throughout the changes this country will see. Let's ask Peter first. He whispered, "I think he's getting more out of this than we are. The issue tied to his request must be so important to him, or for him, that he's offering this risky deal. We need to be cautious. If we get caught or this gets out, I can't imagine the consequences." Marcel interrupted us. "So do we have a deal?" He wants to know now. I have to reject. Such a shame, Mr. President. And here I thought we were going to be good friends. It's a shame, really. Goodbye. Let's leave. I thought that would have ended better. Agreed. I'm sorry. I should have seen it coming. We're just ticking off the business side of the country. The NFP demanded an emergency be called to address the increased political violence in the country. He stated that without a declaration of emergency, Sordland would be destabilized and the integrity of the country would be damaged even farther. Not entirely wrong. Alright, Economic Relief Act. This is where we also have to spend money. With the assistance of the National Business Council and the Central Bank, Simon Hall put forward a countrywide relief plan to mitigate the economic hardship that are being felt. We can either provide stimulus check for people in need or bail out businesses under severe financial strain or decide not to approve the plan. Oh wow, this is a tough call. There are pros and cons to both. Handing the money to people in need needs to kind of define who are the people in need, as well as bailing out businesses. The question is, why are they under financial strain? We need to do something. I'm in favor of this. Stimulus check for the people in need. And the businesses are good. Those money will make it into their pocket eventually. Torres Holding has been awarded a 2-year contract for the extensive infrastructure project of the L1 high-speed railway. They're also responsible for the subgrade bridge track laying, provide design for all civil structure, including the ground retaining walls and earthwork for the railway. It could build the line much stronger than planned at much lower cost, according to a letter seen by The Economist, but the USP MP Albin warned letting Torres build. Well, I think there's a reason why he's I remember he has something to do with a company, but I might be wrong. Widening, upgrade hundreds of kilometers existing railway between Lockhaven and Hostrad. The high-speed rail passed from Enrica and Gelsord as well, connecting the town of Descat, Anka, and Vector it to the capital. A risky railway project. Indeed, I agree. We did take a risk in order to have some more budget to play around with. Let's hope it works. Unemployment and checks. The administration has fallen for populism and the idea that giving people money will solve the problem of the economy overall. It is hard to grasp where these ideas come from, especially when long-term job growth and employment is what the country needs to secure in order to have a stable economy. What is the plan here? People will be able to pay their rent for a few months and then they will fall into the same unemployment trap due to a lack of job available or security. Businesses can't carry all the weight of the declining economy on their own shoulders and employ people without help from the government. The administration need to reevaluate their way out of the recession with realistic methods. I'm curious that the radical didn't come out and praise us for handing out money to the people. But at the same time, I don't think trickle-down economy is a thing. Giving money to businesses doesn't eventually put the money in the right hands. So we're going to take the risk with the stimulus check. Alright, let's see what else is going on the map. Dyer has something? Any foreign relationship issues? Okay, nothing big here. The Ministry of Defense reports situation along the border is getting tense. Rumberg's southern armies, with sighted trading across our borders, did not respond after we issued a radio message. The Chief of the Armed Force, General Kruger, reports to have increased patrol duties along the northern border to signal readiness. This could be ugly. The funeral of Bernard Circa. Ooh. Do we attend or do we not? I mean, it is a state funeral. We will attend. And thus the follow-up event is the funeral, I bet. Anything else pop up? Nope. Here we go. Dark clouds were looming over Dyer. They looked daunting as our convoy started approaching the century-old cemetery. It looked like it was going to rain, certainly fitting weather for a funeral. As expected, Bernard Circus passing maintained its media attraction and all of the Sordland paying attention to the ceremony, especially to what I would say in my speech today. Sir, we have arrived. Raindrops were running down the car window when Sergei opened my door and held an umbrella over my head. As soon as I got out, flashes from the cameras blinded me. Yeah, I'll hold my own umbrella. As you wish, sir. He handed me the umbrella, started waiting next to the car with his own. Peter and Carl exited from their own cars in the convoy, then made their way over to me. Anton, Mr. President. I just wanted to inform you that the perimeter is clear and secured completely. There is no one getting in or out without our knowledge. Good work. Thank you, Carl. Good. If anything happens to Anton, you have to answer to the First Lady. And trust me, Carl, you don't want that. Peter let out a laugh and drew some attention from the bereft attendees. Yes, not really a good place for a joke. Alright, let's just tell him to lower it a bit. You're right, sorry. It started to rain. Several unintelligible voices were heard from Carl's radio. He stepped out to reply and returned shortly. We have a small problem, sir. A few, 5 to be exact, Red Youth members are here to attend the funeral. They apparently said they wish to pay their respect to their fallen comrade. Should we let them in? Do you think they pose a security threat? No, they were thoroughly searched. It looks like they really are here to attend the funeral. Okay, let them in. As you command. Let's head over. They're about to start. We walked toward the crowd circled around the grave. Everyone in attendance was wearing black and mourning. The rain started pouring heavily. Bernard's widow and daughter were in the front row, staring at the coffin with a mixture of disbelief, confusion, above all, a cold, unforgiving sadness. Both of their eyes were very red and swollen from weeping. Before taking my place to observe the ceremony, I gave my condolences to Bernard's wife and his daughter, who looked at me. She reminded me of Deanna. When the religious ceremony was over, I was invited by the priest to deliver my speech. I took the podium. I felt like I had a lump in my throat. I couldn't get the daughter's eyes out of my head. No choices here. Today, we're mourning Bernard Circas, a father, a husband, a loyal servant of this country. Towards the back of the crowd, I spotted the members of Red Youth wearing red shirts and black bands of mourning on their arm. They seemed ruly and were respectfully bowing their heads. There was a complete silence except for the sound of raindrops. Here are our choices. Right, regardless of his ideology, this was a heinous act made towards a good man. We must end this cycle of violence now. We will make sure that unfortunate events such as this will never happen again. Let's all mourn the passing and remember him well. Thank you. The coffin was lowered into the grave by the gravekeepers. After a couple minutes, Bernard Circas was with the soil. No more. We'll step down. The widow thanked me with a soft and defeated voice before we dispersed. On my way back to the car, I still couldn't get the eyes of Bernard's daughter, nor the faltering voice of his wife out of my head. Would Deanna, Monica, and Frank look the same way if something happened to me? Peter put his hand on my shoulder. That was a good speech. I sense only respect from his voice. Thank you. I mean it. I know you do. Come on, it's time to go. We got work to do. He was right, we had work to do. So much more to do. I realized that the rain had stopped, and I looked up. The black clouds slowly dispersed, and sunbeams enlightened our surroundings. As someone once said, even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. Hope was still on the horizon. Okay. We got a current situation. That's not a bad result there. Alright, looking at the map, seems like Luckhaven's the only thing going on. We have a briefing on the current diplomatic situation. I think we'll end the episode here with the funeral. We'll come back next time and take a look at our domestic or diplomatic situation with perhaps not just a threat, but with other countries, which we haven't really discussed, and trade. This is the biggest trade port, so perhaps this is why it's hosted here. So until next time, bye!